In Depth. I'm Michael Landis, and today we have 5 cheesemongers. Well, if you count me, 4.5 here. And we're going to do cocktails, show you some of our favorite cocktails, and of course, pair them with some amazing cheeses. So I'm going to turn it over to our first cocktail maker and cheesemonger, Brian. So Brian, go ahead and take it.
Hello, I'm Brian Gilbert from Beecher's Handmade Cheese and Gilbert's Cheese Experience. I'm so grateful, Michael. Thank you for having us and all the other cheese peeps on the line. I have an awesome cocktail. I think it's awesome that I'm going to pair today. It is called Starry Night Bourbon Delight, and I'm pairing it with Yule Käse. It's Beecher's Handmade Cheeses holiday cheese. It's I'll talk about it for a second here. So we have Flagship Reserve, which is a cross between a cheddar and a Gruyere open air aged cheese. This cheese is very similar. It's the same cheese. The only difference is we marinate the outside with a honey wine wash. It's about 50% honey and wine. It's changed a little over the years. I'm biased, but this year it is my favorite. So you're gonna get the nice crumbly texture that you get from Flagship Reserve. Sweetness all the way through, but it's going to be even sweeter on the rind. So what we do is we age it for about 13 months or so. And throughout the time when it's being aged, we roll, basically it's in a plastic bag, and it has the wine wash at the bottom, and we roll it every so often throughout its life, throughout the 13 months. And what it does is the wine wash, the honey wine wash, permeates the loaf or the truckle all the way through. So it's a really nice sweet cheese for the holidays. And then I created a drink called Starry Night Bourbon Delight. I'm gonna put it together for you right now. But to call out a few things, I'm here in Seattle, Washington. So Capitol Hill is one of the areas in Seattle, and I have Ula bourbon. We use a little Italian Perigote, some Bitter Housewife orange bitters with a touch of cardamom in it, some club soda, and I'm going to call out a little bit of the Rachel's Ginger Brew, and this is one of their spiced honey crisps. It's really good. It's super good. So a little bit of that's going to go in it. We're going to use, let's see if I can bring this out here. This is just a sugar cardamom mix that I'm going to sugar. I've already sugared the rim here, and I just use a little bit of the orange around the outer edge. And then I have some cranberries, and the cranberries are also dusted. Really, they're already a little bit wet from the condensation from the cranberries themselves, but I really just roll them in the blood orange juice and then dust them. And of course, the blood orange, that's also going to be in it as well. And we're going to garnish it with a little bit of an orange peel that I've used, just an orange peeler. I'm sorry, a potato peeler usually, just to get that orange peel off, and a star anise. Star anise won't give it lots of flavor per se, but you'll get a hint of it when you drink your drink. So I'm going to get started, and I know we have 4 of us on here, so I'm going to start my cocktail, and let's talk as I do this, and then I'll start making the drink. I did say 5 ice cubes. I have smaller cubes, so I'm going to go with, I have tongs here, but this just seems easier because it's just me. But I'm going to fill up my mixer, or my shaker, about a quarter of the way, maybe a third at best. We don't want it to get too watery. And then I'm going to add my, what do we have first? My bourbon, Ula bourbon. Put that in there, and there's 2 ounces of that. Touch of Amaro. It's actually more than a touch, it's about an ounce.
Yeah.
I have my blood orange already squeezed. These are really just props at this point because it's a visual, show you what all the things we need. And I like having some of the pulp in there as well, but I've made sure, of course, to keep the seeds out because the idea, at least in my sense of what it was going to be, is Starry Night had a little twinkle with the pulp in there. So that is going to go into, I'm going to make this easy to make drink. Then I have my Rachel's Ginger Brew. I'm going to put that right in there. We have 6, it depends on how much your bitters come out of your pour, but typically 2, 3, 4, 5, a few more came out, so I'm going to stop at 5, but about 6 bits of bitter. And we'll do just a splash of soda. Get a little sweetness, add a little bubble. Then take your shaker and shake away. So, what's up, cheese peeps? All right, there we go. Now I've already dusted the rim with the cardamom sugar rim and dusted the cranberries. Very simply, gonna pour it right over, and I like to get it almost to the rim. So gorgeous. All right, so we got that. Take your orange peel, gonna roll it up a little bit. Get some of the essence out of there. Make it look pretty like. Take my star anise and set it on top. Voila! Haha. All right, so the only way to really know is to try it, right? So let's see. It's 1 o'clock here in Seattle, folks. So I'm gonna have my cocktail. So proud. And my cheese. I'm a dork. Did I ever say that? Say that like an I'm gonna enjoy it. You get to watch me drink a cocktail. Oh, it's just bitter enough and just sweet enough. And at first I was a little hesitant to put the sugar rim on the outside. I like sugar, but it seemed like it was gonna be too much. But I figured with the pairing with the Yule Käse, it might work out. So another concern I had initially was that it might be too sweet, but it worked. It's like you put them together and hope it works and report back. So as in any tasting, and I'm sure all the other mongers will go through it too, but I'll lead. I take a bite, I'm gonna hold my cheese up a little bit high because aroma falls. I'm talking and eating cheese. I'm gonna cover the cheese on all the parts of my mouth, the roof, my tongue, sides of my cheeks. I have to do it again. I'm gonna take a sip. I'm gonna swallow and then breathe out and see what I get. It pairs so well. I know you can't try it right now, but it pairs so well. I get nice nutty notes from the cheese, as we almost always get from this style of cheese. And there's a little bit, excuse me, of, I really noticed the bitters in it, and it puts everything in balance. What I noticed too is, as I was drinking, I can also get a hint or a little bit of aroma from the star anise. And then I'm not gonna do it right now, but having the cranberries are just a little bit tart and dusted with the sugar really adds something to it. One final thing, I made the drink when I was preparing it initially, and I forgot the orange peel. That definitely matters. It really balances out the drink quite a bit. So yeah, that's what I have. Beecher's Handmade Cheese, Yule Käse, Yule for the holidays, Käse cheese, and Starry Night, Bourbon Delight, featuring Ula Bourbon from Capitol Hill here in Seattle, Washington. So, ta-da!
Awesome. That was magnificent, Brian. Thank you so much. And that is a magnificent name of cheese and cocktail. So we're going to turn it over to Eris right now, and we're going to go into the next version of our cocktail and our cheese. Eris?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name's Eris. I'm currently working, well, I actually just started with a fantastic little company called Snuk. We're an online retailer of international foods from all over the world, particularly focused on Middle Eastern, well, East Asian, Indian, African, basically you name it. We have kind of the best of category in, well, countries all over. So I decided to put together a drink that kind of pulled some spice notes. I'm calling it the December Sazerac, and I'm pairing that with Cirone, a really nice cheese from Jumi. They're a great importer, kind of distributor, and it's a Swiss raw milk, very firm, crystalline raw milk cheese. And I'm having that with some of this fantastic Solomon sesame fig marmalade. But let's get started with the cocktail. So Sazeracs are a fun little drink that you serve shaken up I didn't bring anything for ice, so I'm just gonna do this. Always wanna fill your glass first to chill. I think that will be good. Now, I know in the recipe that I honestly can't remember, I wrote it like a week ago. I do mention using an actual sugar cube, but you don't really need a sugar cube. I usually use just a really nice spoonful of Dammer sugar, or two, because I'm so sweet. Then after that, you're gonna want to put ice into this. But first, if you do have a, well, sugar cube, you're going to want to do a little bit of muddling. I, one way or the other, like to do a little bit of muddling just because it kind of breaks apart some of those bits of larger sugar. Then fill with ice. Wunderbar. Now, there's a number of different ways to make a Sazerac. A lot of folks will say use a nice rye whiskey. I myself agree with them. But also Sazerac, which was a drink that came from Louisiana, actually, started by being made with cognac, actually. That is, if you don't listen to the people who make Sazerac rye whiskey. But my favorite way to kind of put these together is to mix both. So I'm gonna do about 1.25 ounces to 1.5 ounces of Sazerac rye whiskey. And I have a really nice cognac here, which I know is probably not the one that I listed, but this guy, the Pierre Fernand, it's the 1840 formula. This is designed to taste, a little bit more, taste like the cognac did during the 1840s, which was kind of the height of bars mixing drinks with cognac. So I don't know, I just think it adds a little extra something, something. Now comes the fun and fantastic bitters themselves. This is Dale de Graaf's Pimento bitters. Now, pimento, not as in pimento the chili, but pimento the spice, which is allspice. A lot of folks don't realize that it's called pimento. The reason that it's called pimento, I'm just gonna do about 3 handsome dashes there. The reason that it's called pimento is because when they first kind of discovered the Americas, they were looking for actually black pepper, which was once called pimentón. So you had some, I won't name names, but it starts with a C, who came over here and thought he was in India and saw what he thought was a black peppercorn. So he called it pimentón. And as a result, we have pimentón bitters.
Cool.
These particular bitters are really amazing. They're made by de Graaf, who's also known as the king of cocktails. And I'm just stirring like nuts here. You really want to wake this up well. De Graaf basically came up with this particular recipe and paired with the French distillery Combière, which is in Saumur, France. And it's just amazing. I mean, I use this bitter more than anything. That's also because I'm a huge fan of tiki drinks. So if you enjoy tiki drinks, please try this, mix it in with your painkillers, whatever else you like. Painkiller, the drink, not pain, you know what I meant. Anyways, I don't know, maybe you have extra fun that way. Some people do. So strain to serve. And I like to do a little bit of a garnish. This is just a nice big satsuma. Ooh. I'm taking off a handsome piece of rind, including both the rind itself and So I got a little bit of pith there. I just personally like a little bit of that kind of sour bitter note. That's just me. And I put a little tiny clove right in the center of it just to kind of spice things up. Oh, and that is fantastic. So let's just real quick pull out the cheese with that, which I forgot I had hidden behind me. So this is Cirone. Cirone, it comes from a Käse glaçar. I'm totally butchering that and not pronouncing it properly. Check out on Jumi's website, which is Jumi. They have fabulous info on it. Now, this particular marmalade I am in love with. The reason being, it has both fig, which is in my mind like the universal pairing for cheese, but also sesame. And sesame gives it that really nice nuttiness. So you get kind of a nutty nut along with that nice sweet sweet. So I'm just going to do this with a little tiny bit of bread. And this, it comes with kind of whole pieces of fig mixed right in there. So it's not like super spreadable being a marmalade. But the folks who make this, they make it in, well, it's just north of Beirut. Their names are Carolyn and George Solomon. They also make these amazing, well, za'atar, which is a spice blend. Anyways, let's give this a try.
This must be the point where we pipe in, huh? So good.
I also just realized I forgot to wash my glass with absinthe. Very important step with the Sazerac, my bad. The strength of the nuttiness within the cheese really pairs well with the sesame, which allows it to hold up really well to the strong Sazerac flavor profile, which also is bringing out a lot of the spice notes in the cheese itself. Highly recommend you guys try this. Bring it for, well, basically any holiday, but I drink this and eat this year round. Anyways, I probably have spoken way too long and you're all getting sick of me. I've definitely made enough fool myself. I'm handing this on now. Well, back to you, Michael.
Yes, and that was magnificent. I love your descriptions on there. And you give us the impression that you really do know what you're talking about. So, you know, and I know that's true. All right. So let's turn it over to Jenny because she's got some sake to work with today. So I think that's really cool. So Jenny.
Thank you. And Michael, thank you so much for having me be a part of this really, really great lineup. Yeah, I am a huge, huge sake lover. And I'm lucky to live in San Diego where there is a plethora of drinking things. They call it the Liquid City. We have a lot of beer being brewed here and wine. We have all the spirits, vodka, gin, all that. But what we really have, and is really super interesting to me, is Setting Sun Sake. And these guys are super awesome. This is headed by the head brewer, Josh Hembry, and he has a background in beer brewing and then really just sort of switched courses after his real interest in sake started to set in. And in San Diego, he is the only sake brewer here and just makes a delightful range of different infusions and just different, I'm trying to find my notes here, different hybrids. That's the word I'm looking for. Different hybrids. They work a lot with the local breweries, a lot with the local wineries. their signature sake is called Ronin sake, and I love that. They take that because they think of themselves as a masterless brewer. So their Ronin sake is their signature, which is their clear sake. I love it. I am totally enthralled with it and think it's really, really good. It's Jumai with an American expression, and I'm terrible with all my sake pronunciations and stuff, but just lovely and just delightful. And in 2017, Josh did himself and his brewery a huge favor by bringing on the awesome Kim Rojas. And Kim is, she's a certified level 1 sake sommelier, certified with WSETs. And she's also a part of the Japanese Sake Advisory, Sake School of America, the JSA. So these are serious brewers here. These guys are recognized and are serious brewers. And I love doing cheese and sake pairings with them. I have not, before COVID, we used to do a lot of them, obviously, at their beautiful little tasting room here in San Diego. And unfortunately, we are not doing those right now. But I will say I haven't yet found a cheese that we can't quite find a really good match for. And that's really, really exciting. I turned to Kim. Kim is just awesome. And I turned to Kim, she's a chef in her own right as well, and asked her to help me put together a really lovely cocktail and something a little unusual. And I chose this because, San Diego we have a very, very temperate climate. We have a lot of South American influences, which has nothing to do with sake, but it will when I come to my cheese that I paired it with. And I sort of think of this as a holiday drink, frankly, because I think here the holidays can be quite warm. I know 2 years ago, a Thanksgiving that we were cooking turkeys and it was like literally, 85 degrees. This Thanksgiving, it was a little bit more moderate, but the point is that I kind of look for lighter and more citrus cocktails, things that reflect the stuff that we have around us here in inland and all the different farms that are growing stuff. Kim brought me this beautiful little pack today in which she has included her Hape sake from Setting Sun, infused with Citra hops. And it's a really, really fun, imaginative sake. You really get the hop flavor coming through. And you also kind of strangely, you still get that sort of sake dryness. We're also pairing it with, she made me a beautiful bottle of citrus and thyme infused syrup, simple syrup. These recipes I have given to Michael, so if you're interested in it, you can go to that website. Now, I'm terribly sorry, I'm sort of broadcasting from the back room of my cafe. This is 1 o'clock here in San Diego, and so lunch hour is in full swing, so I don't have beautiful displays like all of you, and you've all made me really jealous. But I'm gonna sort of put this together while I talk about the cheese that I'm going to pair it with, which is the Hoja Santa cheese out of the Mozzarella company in Dallas, Texas. And I featured this cheese a lot a couple years ago, and then I sort of, I didn't forget about it, but I don't know, I got away from it somehow. And about 2 months ago, I don't know what made me think of it again. I love this cheese, and I love this cheese, that this cheese is from Dallas. I love that it's a long-standing cheese making company, the Mozzarella company, Paula Lambert. She's just another one of these pioneering American women. And I love that it's sort of South American in style. The leaves, the Hoja Santa leaves, traditionally used to wrap fish, do a variety of different things in South American cooking. And what Paula has done is taken a very fresh chev and she's wrapped it in those leaves. And then she's just packaged it so beautifully in this like lovely little raffia. And I'm going to open this cheese up, and you're just going to see the beautifulness of this chev. It is just stunning. Pure white. I'm sorry, my light is so bad back here, but pure white chev with that beautiful leaf. It's very moist. It's very acidic, being fresh chev. And what that leaf does is impart a little bit of a sassafras kind of mint flavor to this fresh chev. It is crisp. It is delightful. I'm adding some ice to my lovely setting sun sake glass, courtesy of Kim. Thank you so much, Kim. She has thought of everything. I am going to do, she brought me enough for 2 glasses, so I'm just going to put in about half of their hape sake. And again, brewed with Citra hops, really super beautiful. I'm going to put in a splash of the simple syrup, this citrus syrup that Kim has made. This is sugar, cane sugar, boiling water, lemon, lime, tangerine, and a little bit of fresh sprigs of thyme. And you do a little thing with that, and it's going to be gorgeous and beautiful. And then I'm just going to put a little bit, a splash of Fever Tree tonic, which is just a beautiful little tonic that we're going to do right there. I'm not even going to attempt to drink and eat at the same time and speak to you. I'm just going to show you how absolutely stunning and beautiful this is. I have a lovely mix of some lime, some fresh lemon, and some fresh orange. I am very, very fortunate in that every Tuesday and Thursday out front of my store, I host a little farm stand. It is Heritage Farms. They are a family farm in the East County. They do beautiful citrus, and I'm lucky that I get that beautiful citrus all year round. So the Hoja Santa with the Citra citrus sake cocktail. I love this. It's going to be fruity and beautiful. The cheese just adds so much to it. Naturally the cocktail kind of cuts through this cheese, but this cheese is just luscious and moist and everything that you would want in a fresh goat chev. It just picks up those just really complex layers of mint and sassafras from those Hoja Santa leaves. A beautiful pairing. If you're ever in San Diego, come down to Setting Sun Sake. They're awesome. Seek out this cheese, Hoja Santa cheese. It's a beautiful cheese. It goes with so much. And cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
It looks so refreshing. Wow. And I used to live in OB, so those were my stomping grounds for a while.
It is. It's refreshing. It just kind of goes perfect with the weather down here, and it has a little bit of smokiness to it, which just is so beautiful with the Citra. So
The cheese itself has the smokiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has
Jennifer, I toured Italy with Paula. She is a hoot.
Absolutely.
Oh,
That
yes.
must have been amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got a call from her out of the blue one day, and she just, I couldn't believe that she was calling me. She was just the nicest, the kindest, the sweetest, just the most bubbly, wonderful personality.
Yes.
Just instantly makes you feel like this is a friend, and that I can pick up the phone and call her any day, and she'd be like, yeah, and she's just an absolute joy. So that must have been a lot of fun.
Oh, yes.
I know that in Seattle here, when I first started at Beecher's about 8 years ago, we had a Northwest, and still do, Northwest and West Coast theme for our cheese case. And I see Paula Lambert's cheese in the right corner, and I'm like, why is that there? That's not really the demographic. And Kurt, the owner, he was like, no, friends with Paula, it's got to be in there. No exceptions. It's in there. So we had her fed. It was great.
Awesome. She does another really great cheese called Sella. And Sella is another fresh goat chev disc, and it's wrapped with lemongrass, and it is equally stunning. And again, you get those really kind of complex Thai flavors of lemongrass in it, and it is equally lovely with fresh cocktails, fruity cocktails. So I just love everything about them. I think that they're really great. So
Jenny, I love,
Jennifer,
thank you.
oh, I'm sorry.
Jennifer, what did you say the leaves that it was wrapped in?
They're called, excuse me, they're called Hoja Santa leaves,
Yes.
Hoja Santa leaves. And apparently they're indicative to more South American, the sort of middle South American countries. They're used a lot for offering a lot of fragrance to fish. They'll wrap, like a parchment paper, they'll wrap the fish in these leaves. Vegetables, they'll wrap some fresh vegetables and, you know, throw it on a fire or steam it somehow. Absolutely, really, really unique. Such a unique flavor. And yeah, I really stress trying this cheese if you find it. It's beautiful.
I bet that just goes fabulous with those Citra hops in the sake.
Yeah. And it really does bring out those nice hops. You know, again, we are in San Diego, and this is a town that loves their hops. They love, love, love their IPAs. I'm a very light IPA drinker myself. So what I really love about this sake too is that it just has that hint of hops that is just perfect for me without just being that sort of a little bit overbearing, which I find some of the stronger IPAs to be. So it's delightful.
I've always been a really big fan of sake, and as well, a couple years ago, Sheri, I know you were there. I'm not, Eris, Jenny, I'm not sure if you were at ACS in Pittsburgh a few years ago when we had, was everybody there? I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Yes.
That was my favorite. It was so great. So what I'm speaking to is at American Cheese Society, our convention that all of us cheese nerds go to once a year. Of course, this year was a little bit different, but there was one of the workshops had, they labeled it Asian pairings and cheese, but most of it happened to just happenstance be Japanese. And then they had someone speak to a sake expert speak to the sake, and then they also had plenty other pairings. And then I know Sheri, if I remember right, I was under the weather a little bit that year, but I remember there was also a side party, if you will, or gathering. You went to that, right? With
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mallory brought cheeses from Japan. She had a contingency from Japan, and she had sake pairings at it. It was a very small group that was at that gathering, but
so inspirational. It was great. I didn't get to do that, but I went
You're
to
right. It was amazing, and she does such a great job at that. Her she has I guess it's a website or an organization, the Geography of Cheese, and she's one of the only American, if I remember correctly, she's one of the only American cheese mongers in Tokyo, I believe, and
yes,
just yeah. So interesting, and I had the privilege of being there, and it was just absolutely amazing. So
Mallory and I were on an affinage internship together in France, and then I was just there in Japan in February with the Japanese cheese school there, and that's one of the entities that Mallory did work with. It's really coming along. We were all supposed to be touring like all these Japanese cheesemakers this last October. And of course, you know, that didn't happen. It's just postponed. We will be there.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's super exciting. And I like, since that workshop, I mean, everything that you spoke to, Jenny, today with just herbs and aromas pairing up so well reminds me of that workshop as well. And I mean, any chance I can get fresh chev and put matcha in it, or what were some of the others? There were so many, but like your drink and your pairing today was just brought that to life. It's like, wow, that's getting me excited again. Like,
him and I actually had another cocktail. It was a matcha latte cocktail, and
Nice.
using I believe it was using the Ronin Clear, which again is their signature. I also love their labels. Their labels are just really, really beautiful and just beautifully done. The Ronin Clear sake, we were going to put that together with, a matcha latte and get all those flavors going together. And that would have been equally beautiful too. So, but this cocktail and this pairing is really very much up my alley. I love the clean taste of it. I'm a big fan of citrus and just love it. And a big fan, obviously, of their sake. So love it.
Well, we know that, the beers and the Citra with that, those hops work really well, bringing out some of the buttery flavors. So that's a great pairing. Thank you so much, Jenny. All right, we're going to turn it over to our next. And this is Sheri, and she's got a nice little dessert cocktail going for us.
That's right, dessert. I mean, cheese is dessert, why not? We serve finger foods like petit fours and mini eclairs and cream puffs for desserts. So, why not cheese? In Europe, cheese is usually a dessert course, and it's served with dessert wine pairings or liqueurs or digestif. And so I picked one of my favorite cheesemakers, one because it's local and I've spent time up there at the creamery. I've made cheese with Beehive cheese. It's there at the mouth of the canyon. And this particular cheese that they have, I'm super in love with. It is their collaboration with Basil Hayden. So they use Basil Hayden in with the curds. They've got a Irish style cheddar with which is super buttery, with infused with the Basil Hayden whiskey. So you're going to get all these lovely caramely notes, and then you start to get that bourbon spice towards the rind where it's bathed in. You can't really see it on there, but you can actually see like the marbling from the whiskey in this. So that is my cheese that I selected, and bourbon is a favorite of mine as well. I have to actually, credit Michael Landis for introducing me into the world of bourbon 12 years ago. So we've known each other that long. Bourbon is a little bit sweeter than most whiskeys, and it gives you those caramely vanilla notes. So to me, the aromas of orange peel and toffee and candied nuts in this particular whiskey just made me think of dessert and of a box of Christmas chocolates. So I had to have a dessert cocktail, which, Christmas is a time for decadent desserts. So I love that aroma in there. So I'm using an Eagle Rare bourbon for mine that I'm going to mix up. And we got to start with a little ice, just so it chills it. I want it to water it down. I just want a little chill on it. And then I'm going to put a little bourbon in there. Now, what I love about this is now we've got a little creme de cacao. So what I've got is a dark chocolate liqueur that I'm putting in there. So you think of flavor notes of chocolate, and then I'm using some hazelnut. So this is called liquid bourbon ball. Think of it as drinking one of those lovely little chocolate truffles with bourbon and the chocolate and the hazelnut center. You're going to be drinking it here. And then I love the caramel notes that you get with the bourbon and you get with this cheese. So I'm going to put a splash of this Bailey's caramel in there because I want a little creaminess to it. Holidays time for desserts, right? And if you guys have all been following along, and if you've actually been making these cocktails, Brian, I see that cocktail in my future because I love anise and I love cardamom.
Likewise, I like that these are all going to be posted and we'll
Yes.
enjoy them. And it's like just having a new recipe at home. That's so exciting.
Yeah, well, if they've been following along, if they pulled the recipes ahead of time, been following along, then they're probably feeling mighty fine about now, and it's time for dessert. So I'm just gonna stir this a little bit, stirring it into my glass. And as you can see, it's just like dessert in a glass. I made this one for my my girlfriend. I'm up here at her beautiful home. I'm in Salt Lake City. So if you can imagine, it feels like Christmas right now. We've got these aspens outside. We've got some pine trees. We've got snow all over the ground. She's got her table beautifully decorated for the holidays and with the candles and all the bling. So cheers. I'm going to give her this cocktail, and then I'm going to taste it with the Beehive. It's called Pour Me a Slice. So isn't that a cute name? Pour Me a Slice. It's infused with Basil Hayden bourbon, and I've used this with whiskey and cheese pairing classes as well. Brian talked about how you kind of eat the cheese, you let it coat your palate, you take a sip of the cocktail, and you kind of let all those flavors marry in your mouth, and it should just light up fireworks for you. Oh.
That's super exciting.
Oh, that's really good. Oh my gosh. I love what Beehive does with their cheese. They take their base cheese, which is an Irish style cheddar. It's they call it promontory. It's based on the landmark here in Utah where the Golden Spike happened. So where the two railroads met and they drove that final spike. It's called Promontory Point. It's not that much. It's not very far from where I live. I live north of Salt Lake and out by the lake. And they take that promontory cheese and then they do different finishes to it. So one of the finishes here, of course, is the Basil Hayden whiskey, and it's co-branded with Basil Hayden on their Pour Me a Slice label. But it just those buttery notes of the cheese just complement to me the caramel and the toffee and the vanilla notes that you get from bourbon. And I guess that's why I just love bourbon so much, is because I'm just a huge fan of burnt sugar, caramelized sugar, caramel and toffee and all of those flavors together. And, a little dessert. If I'm going to have dessert, I think I want to drink it. So I'm going to say cheers and get yourself some of that cheese. And oh, by the way, it goes really well with chocolate too. So I've got this lovely little chocolate with a little bit of caramel center. So maybe a little chocolate with some of the cheese. And that to me is a perfect holiday dessert.
Woo! You guys, these are just amazing recipes, and I thank you so much for coming on. So I'm filling in for Ken, who wasn't able to make it, and so my recipe again is bourbon. I've been a bourbon fan for a very long time. As a matter of fact, I have a little segment on my YouTube with Basil Hayden with Adam, who's a senior ambassador for them, and Britton Welsh. We did some pairings with that, with some of the basil. I love the small batch bourbons. So I'm going to do a Knob Creek version of an old fashioned. And I like to have a little bit of orange in it. I just, muddling is nice and I will do that. But what I like to do also is I like to tear the rind, the orange peel, because that gives a little bit more of the orange flavor in there. And then a couple cherries in here. And some people use them for decoration. I like the flavor of them. And then I kind of muddle them together so we get a little bit of a smash and flavor mixing in there. And then of course, we need a little bit of bitters. So, I like to have just, pretty much just a little hint of flavor with the standard regular bitter. And then there's an orange bitter that, again, I think accents a little bit of the flavor there. And that's about as far as I go from that point. Now, this is a smoked maple. So Knob Creek has come out with a smoked maple, but if you drink it straight, it's a little too sugary for me. It's got a little bit too much. So I'm only going to put I'm going to put about a half a jigger of smoked maple in there, and then finish it off with the regular Knob Creek. And then this is kind of like, you know, the decision that you make on how much you should have in there. And one jigger's nice, but you know, a little bit more makes it a little bit more fun. So that's it. And then of course, add a little bit of ice, and I'm gonna go from there. I shake it because I like to have a little bit more of the flavors mixed together. And that's my Manhattan, or my old fashioned, with some ice cubes spilled all over. But that's par for me. And for cheese pairing, I have the Hooks cheese. This is his triple play extra innings: sheep, cow's milk, and goat's milk in an extra aged cheese. That is one of my favorites. And you all know how much I love Effie's. So an Effie's oat cracker, and then a little tribute to the Pacific Northwest with a little bit of girl meets dirt, and that preserved that is pear preserved together. And these all together, yum, just a great flavor, great little snack to start through. And that's what I got.
Hey, Michael, what flavor Effie's did you use for this pairing?
This is the pink peppercorn and pear, heritage pear. And
for the Effie's cracker.
oh, it's the oat.
Oh, the oat. Okay.
Yeah,
that's nice with the girl meets dirt.
the oat's one of my favorites. I really like it because it's got some sweetness in it. You know, pecan is always nice to have that nuttiness, but the oat is just I think a little more less, or it has less sweetness, and it really brings out more of the butter and the cheese and that. So that's really, you know, so everybody, thank you so much for coming in and playing and mixing and bringing your cheeses. Cheers.
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 So you're going to be able to find these recipes, and of course the others that are coming up, on michaelandischeese.com. There's a whole section that says recipes, and then it says cocktails, and each one is listed out with all the information that they have provided for me. And of course, this will be on my YouTube channel, Michael Landis Cheese, and it'll be broken out so everybody will be able to mix for the holidays and have a little bit of fun with that. So everybody, thank you so much. This was so much fun. I love all the recipes, and I can't wait to start making them on my own.